The numbers are drawn. A ticket in someone's hand matches every line. The dream that many people whisper about has become real for one person. They have won the lottery. At first, it feels like freedom. Bills can be paid, work can be left behind. Every wish looks possible. But then, something else happens. The joy fades, pressure arrives. Friends ask for money, family changes, strangers send letters. Fear grows in the quiet hours of the night. The truth is simple. Many lottery winners end up broke. Many feel more alone than before, and many wish they had never won at all. In this video, you will learn why so many winners become miserable. You will hear real stories of people who lost their fortune and their peace. You will learn the patterns that repeat again and again when sudden wealth arrives. And most important, you will learn how to avoid the same mistakes. You will see how to protect yourself, your relationships, and your future if money ever comes to you quickly, whether from a lottery, an inheritance, or even a sudden raise. The reason you should stay with this story is clear. By the end, you will understand the dangers that come with sudden wealth. You will know the steps that turn a short burst of money into long-lasting stability. You will learn how to keep your peace when everything around you changes. And you will see that the real goal is not only to keep money, but to keep your joy. We will go slowly, one part at a time. Each part will teach you something real. You will hear about sudden wealth syndrome, the name given to the stress and confusion that comes when life shifts overnight. You will learn why many winners lose money to taxes, to quick spending, and to poor planning. You will hear how friends and family can become sources of pressure instead of support. And you will learn the quiet habits that create calm, even when numbers in the bank account grow. We start with simple truths. About 1/3 of lottery winners in the United States file for bankruptcy within only a few years. That is not because they are lazy. It is not because they are greedy. It is because sudden wealth feels like a storm. And without shelter, even the strongest people get lost in the wind. Staying until the end of this story matters because you will see the full picture. You will see the storm, but you will also see the shelter. You will hear the story of Jack Whitaker, who won over $300 million. He gave 2 churches, to charities, and to strangers. But he was robbed. He was sued. He lost family members in painful ways. His story shows how fast joy can turn to despair. You will also hear about Abraham Shakespeare, who won $17 million and was murdered after years of exploitation. His story shows how wealth can attract danger if boundaries are weak. And you will hear about Willie and Donna Seeley, who won nearly $4 million and later said they missed their old paychecks. Their story shows how the dream of wealth often carries regret. Each of these stories holds lessons. If you stay, you will see them unfold gently, one by one. We will not rush, we will not judge. We will listen, reflect, and then learn how to do better. By the end, you will hold clear steps. How to pause before making choices. How to set aside money for taxes. How to limit lifestyle inflation. How to build boundaries with loved ones. How to create a plan that lets wealth grow quietly instead of disappearing. This story is not only for lottery winners. It is for anyone who hopes for more money. It is for anyone who fears what might happen if more arrives. It is for anyone who wants to feel safe with money instead of anxious. And it is for anyone who wants to sleep peacefully knowing they are prepared. If you listen all the way, you will leave with wisdom that many people never get, even after they lose everything. Think of this time as a safe space. You do not need to solve every problem tonight. You only need to hear and reflect. The lessons will stay with you. They will guide you if the day ever comes when sudden money finds its way into your life. And even if it does not, the same lessons apply to raises, bonuses, and inheritances. Sudden change always brings risk. But with calm planning, it can also bring peace. The first reason people fail with sudden wealth is speed. They act too fast. They buy houses, cars, and gifts before they think about taxes or savings. They believe the money will last forever, but it never does. By staying with this video, you will learn why a pause is your strongest tool. You will hear about people who rushed and lost it all, and you will hear about the rare few who paused, planned, and found peace. The second reason is pressure. Family and friends ask for help. Sometimes the requests are kind, sometimes they are manipulative. Winners feel guilty for saying no, so they say yes, and soon the money is gone. In this video, you will learn how to set gentle but firm boundaries. You will see how saying no can protect both your money and your relationships. The third reason is poor planning. Many winners never worked with accountants or advisors before. Suddenly, they face taxes, investments, and legal choices. Without help, they make costly mistakes. Some fall for scams. Others pour money into businesses that fail. In this story, you will see why hiring the right team is one of the most important steps after sudden wealth. The fourth reason is emotional weight. Winners feel guilt, fear, and isolation. They fear losing what they gained. They feel guilty for having more than others. They withdraw from friends. They stop trusting people. In this story, you will hear about sudden wealth syndrome and why it feels so heavy, and you will see ways to care for your mind and heart while caring for your money. We will take each of these reasons and explore them deeply. We will pair them with real stories and soft lessons. And we will end each part with a gentle reflection that helps you see money not as a curse, but as a tool. By the end, you will not only know why winners fail, you will know how to succeed if fortune ever arrives at your door. Stay until the end because the conclusion ties everything together. It will give you a simple, clear map. It will show you the immediate steps to take if you ever face sudden wealth. It will remind you that money should serve your life, not control it. And it will leave you with peace, not pressure. So breathe slowly, settle into your bed. Let the words carry you through the night. The story will be long, gentle, and steady. You will hear the warnings, but you will also hear the hope. And as you drift, you will carry with you the calm knowledge that you can prepare, that you can protect yourself, and that you can stay safe. This is the gift of the story. It is not about fear. It is about preparation, wisdom, and calm. Stay with it, and you will leave with the value of other people's hard lessons without needing to repeat them yourself. And as this first part closes, let one question stay with you as your eyes grow heavy. If sudden wealth is like a seed planted in the dark, what happens when you hold it in your hands for the first time? Every dream begins with a moment of hope. For many, it starts with a small ticket bought at a gas station or grocery store. The lights are bright, the clerk hands it over, and for a second, you let yourself think about what it might mean. You hold the slip of paper like it is more than paper, like it is a key to freedom, a key to peace. You walk out the door, and for the rest of the day, you carry a quiet secret. Maybe tonight, your life will change. That wish is simple. You want to stop worrying. You want to pay your bills without counting every dollar. You want to rest without wondering if you will make rent next month. You want to help your family. You want to feel safe. At its heart, the lottery is not about luxury. It is about safety and rest, and that is why the dream feels so powerful. It promises to end the stress that keeps so many awake at night. But the truth is gentler and harder at the same time. The numbers are drawn, and for most, nothing changes. The wish fades as the ticket joins the trash. Yet for a few, the wish comes true. Their numbers match. Their lives tilt. And in that moment, they believe they are free. But freedom is more complex than money. Many lottery winners, almost 1 in 3, later file for bankruptcy. The star that once shined turns out to be more fragile than it seemed. Let us pause here. Why does this happen? Why do people who finally win the dream end up miserable? The answer is not greed or weakness. It is because sudden wealth feels like stepping into another world without a map. Every choice feels bigger. Every person looks at you differently. Every moment carries pressure. And without guidance, the joy of winning turns into the weight of worry. Take Jack Whitaker. He won more than $300 million. He gave generously, he built churches and supported charities. People saw him as lucky and kind. But in the years that followed, he faced lawsuits, robberies, and heartbreaking family tragedy. The same money that was supposed to give him peace became the source of endless pain. His story is not rare. It repeats in different forms across many winners. This is why you should stay with this journey. You will see how the wish for safety often turns into something else. You will see how fear replaces joy, how guilt replaces gratitude, and how confusion replaces clarity. And then you will see the ways to step carefully, to build shelter, and to turn sudden wealth into something steady. This is not a story about fear. It is a story about learning how to carry the light of the wishing star without letting it fade. Think of another case. Willie and Donna Seeley won nearly $4 million. At first, they smiled for cameras. They thought life would be easier, but soon they were surrounded by attention, by requests, and by pressure. They later said they missed their old paychecks. They longed for the simplicity of ordinary life. The wish had come true, but it had brought noise instead of peace. Their words remind us that money changes circumstances, but it does not always change the heart. So what can we learn? First, winning money does not erase the need for habits. Without a plan, wealth slips away. Without boundaries, relationships bend or break. Without care for mental health, guilt and fear take root. The lesson here is simple. Money is not safety. Money is a tool, and if we treat it like magic, it quickly turns against us. But let's hold the wish for a moment longer, because even if most winners struggle, the dream is still human. Wanting freedom is not foolish. Wanting peace is not shameful. It is natural to hope, and hope itself can be a guide. The star in the sky reminds us that we are allowed to want better. The key is to prepare for what comes after the wish. This is where the story turns to you. Have you ever wished for sudden money? Have you thought about how life would look if your debts were gone tomorrow, if you did not have to work? If every need was met with one slip of paper, most people have, and in that thought, we see the deep hunger for rest. It shows how much stress weighs on us every day. But what if the real path to peace is not sudden? What if it comes from building gently, step by step? That is what this story will unfold. Now, consider Abraham Shakespeare. He won $17 million. He hoped for joy. Instead, his life ended in tragedy when people around him saw him as a source to be used. His story is painful, but it shows the danger of having no plan and no protection. Money, when it arrives quickly, can attract harm if it is not guarded. This is why wealth is more than numbers. It is about safety, boundaries, and trust. Each of these real stories ties back to the same lesson. The wish is powerful, but the wish is not enough. The money arrives, but without guidance, it slips away. The winner is celebrated, but soon feels more isolated than before. The truth is that sudden wealth shines a light on every weakness. If you struggle with trust, it gets harder. If you struggle with planning, it grows more dangerous. If you struggle with guilt, it becomes heavier. The money does not erase problems. It multiplies them. So why stay with this story? Because by the end, you will not only see why winners fail, you will see how to prepare yourself if sudden wealth ever comes. You will know the importance of pausing before spending. You will understand why taxes matter more than many realize. You will learn the habit of setting clear boundaries with people you love. And you will hear about building quiet plans that last longer than quick wishes. This first chapter is about holding the wish. It is about looking at the star and admitting what you want. Freedom, safety, rest. These are not selfish dreams, they are human dreams. But it is also about seeing the truth. A wish can light the night, but it cannot carry you through the day. For that, you need habits, plans, and care. So as you close your eyes tonight, let this thought rest with you. Wishing is the beginning, but it is only the beginning. The real work is gentle. It is learning to walk carefully when the wish comes true. It is choosing to build instead of spend. It is choosing to protect instead of prove. And it is choosing to care for yourself and those you love in ways money cannot measure. The star shines, but the dawn will come. The question is not if the star is bright, but if you are ready for the morning after. And that is where our story moves next. Because once the star has been wished upon, the next step begins. The seed of sudden wealth is planted, and in the soil of your life, it starts to grow. What will happen to that seed? Will it bloom into peace, or will it wither under pressure? That is what we will explore in the next chapter. When sudden wealth arrives, it feels like planting a golden seed overnight. One day, your life looks the same as it always has, and then, in an instant, something new rests in your hands. It glows with promise. It whispers of freedom. You tell yourself that now, everything will finally be different. But even a golden seed needs time, care, and patience to grow. Without roots, it cannot survive. Without protection, it gets trampled. Without water, it dries up. And this is the quiet truth about sudden wealth. At first, it feels like a gift, but unless you treat it with care, it quickly becomes a burden. Many lottery winners learn this too late. Psychologists call this sudden wealth syndrome. It is the shock and confusion that comes when life changes overnight. You are still the same person you were yesterday, but the world now treats you differently. People look at you with new eyes. They expect things. They ask for favors. They send messages you never imagined receiving. Inside, you feel joy, but also fear. You ask yourself, who am I now? What if I lose it all? What if I cannot handle it? Jack Whitaker, the same man who won over $300 million, spoke often about this feeling. He said he wished he had torn up the winning ticket. He was robbed. He was sued. He faced pressures he had never known. The golden seed in his life grew thorns. His story shows how sudden wealth can overwhelm even someone who seems strong and generous. Think also of Marie Holmes. She won $188 million. At first, it seemed like her struggles were over. But soon, she found herself spending huge sums bailing her boyfriend out of jail. More than $20 million went to this alone. The joy of her win was replaced by the stress of constant demands. Her golden seed was planted, but it grew in soil filled with pressure. This is why slowing down matters. The first step after sudden wealth is not to spend, it is to pause. Experts recommend holding the money in a safe account for a time. Do nothing big, make no grand choices. Give yourself weeks or even months to breathe. This pause is like watering the seed gently instead of flooding it. It allows your emotions to settle before you build a plan. Many winners skip this step. They rush to buy houses, cars, and gifts. They feel pressure to prove their luck, to show the world that they are successful now, but rushing is dangerous. Every dollar spent without a plan is a piece of the seed lost. Soon, what could have grown into something lasting becomes scattered. Take the story of Jonathan Vargas. At only 19 years old, he won more than $35 million. He poured much of it into a new business, an all-female wrestling venture. Within a year, the money was gone. The business failed. He was left with regret. His golden seed had been planted in soil too thin to hold it. His story reminds us that wealth without patience leads to quick loss. There is another side to sudden wealth. It does not only change how you see yourself, it changes how others see you. Family may reach out. Friends may ask for help. Strangers may send letters, each with a story of need. At first, you feel the urge to give. You want to share. You want to be generous. But soon, the requests pile up. You cannot say yes to everyone, yet saying no feels cruel. This is one of the heaviest weights sudden winners carry. Sandra Hayes, who won part of a $300 million jackpot, described this in her own words. She said friends became like vampires, each one trying to take a piece of her fortune. She said it was draining, both emotionally and financially. The golden seed had made her wealthy, but it also made her a target. And this is why boundaries matter so much. Without them, the seed is pulled apart by too many hands. So how do you protect the seed? You start by making a circle around it. Choose a few people you trust. A financial advisor who works only for you. A tax expert who understands the laws. A lawyer who can help you set up safe structures. These people are like a fence around the garden. They protect your seed while it grows. Without them, the soil is exposed, and the plant may never bloom. There is also the inner circle of friends and family. You must decide carefully who you let into that circle. Not everyone needs to know the full amount of your win. Not everyone should have access to your decisions. The smaller and safer your circle, the stronger your peace will be. Even if it feels hard, even if guilt whispers that you should say yes to everyone, remember this: if the seed dies, no one benefits. Protecting it is not selfish. It is wise. Many winners fail here. They think money will buy love. They think saying yes will keep relationships strong. But money given without boundaries often damages bonds instead of strengthening them. Family members may fight. Friends may resent you when you say no after years of yes. The weight of constant requests wears you down, and slowly your golden seed fades. Think of Billy Bob Harrell Jr. He won $31 million in Texas. At first, he gave freely. He paid debts. He helped his church. But soon, the requests never stopped. He felt trapped by the pressure. Within 2 years, he was gone, unable to bear the strain. His story shows the human cost of sudden wealth without strong boundaries. The lesson is gentle but clear. A golden seed grows only if it is planted with patience, protected with care, and watered with discipline. Wealth that arrives overnight feels like a blessing, but it also tests your strength. If you slow down, if you build a fence, if you care for it with steady hands, the seed can grow into lasting peace. If you rush, if you give without limits, if you forget to plan, the seed withers before it ever takes root. So what should you remember as you close this chapter? First, sudden wealth brings shock. That shock is normal. Feeling overwhelmed is not weakness, it is human. Second, the pause matters. Do not rush, hold the money safely. Let time soften your emotions. Third, protect the seed. Build a team you trust. Limit your circle. Set boundaries with love. Fourth, remind yourself that generosity is most powerful when it is steady, not rushed. A gift given with thought is stronger than a gift given with guilt. The golden seed is fragile, but it is also full of promise. It can grow into freedom, safety, and peace, but only if it is treated with respect. The seed is not magic, it is potential, and potential grows only with time. As you rest tonight, let this thought guide you. Wealth is not safety by itself. Safety comes from the way you care for the wealth, the way you protect it, and the way you guide it. And as our story continues, another question rises. If the seed takes root, what does it show you about yourself? When you look in the mirror after sudden wealth, do you see the same person, or do you see someone new? When sudden wealth enters your life, it is like standing before a mirror you have looked into for years, only to find a different reflection staring back. You are the same person in body and name, but something feels altered. Questions rise quietly inside you. Who am I now? Do I deserve this? Will people still love me for who I am, or only for what I have? This is one of the deepest struggles lottery winners face. They thought money would free them from worry, but instead, it often reshapes their identity in confusing ways. The mirror shows not only their face, but also their fears. They feel pride, but also guilt. They feel lucky, but also isolated. Not understood, but not understood. This tension can make even joyful moments heavy. Jack Whitaker spoke of this after his win. Once a proud businessman, he was suddenly known everywhere as the man with millions. People no longer saw him for his work or his character. They saw him as a walking fortune. That change in how others looked at him shifted how he saw himself. He began to doubt his worth, apart from the money. His reflection became clouded. Many winners describe a feeling of imposter syndrome. They doubt they deserve what they have received. They question why luck found them and not someone else. Survivor's guilt often grows, the same kind of guilt felt by people who walk away from tragedy unharmed. Winners ask, why me? That question keeps them awake long after the celebrations end. Take the story of Billy Bob Harold Jr. He won $31 million in Texas. At first, he was joyful. He helped his church, he supported his family, but the constant demands, combined with his own guilt and confusion, weighed him down. His sense of identity unraveled. Within 2 years of his win, he ended his life. His reflection in the mirror had become unbearable. His story is one of the most painful reminders that money cannot solve deeper wounds of worth and belonging. Identity also shifts because sudden wealth changes routines. Many winners quit their jobs quickly. They believe they no longer need the grind. And in terms of money, they are right. But jobs are not only about income. Work often gives people purpose, structure, and community. Without it, days stretch empty. Time feels hollow. Without purpose, the reflection in the mirror grows dim. What once defined them worker, provider, friend suddenly disappears. Willie and Donna Seeley felt this after their win of nearly $4 million. At first, they smiled on camera, proud to be free of financial strain. But later, they admitted they missed their old jobs, their paychecks, and their sense of normalcy. Wealth had removed their struggles, but it also removed their daily identity. They felt unmoored, drifting without the anchors they once had. When the mirror shifts, winners often withdraw. They avoid old friends because they feel different. They struggle to trust new friends because they suspect hidden motives. This isolation feeds the feeling of being misunderstood. The reflection grows lonelier. What was supposed to bring belonging often brings distance. One quiet truth helps here. Your worth has never been measured by the balance in your account. It is measured by the values you hold, the kindness you share, the love you give. Money magnifies habits, but it does not define the soul. If you were generous before, wealth will show it more. If you were anxious before, wealth will highlight that too. The reflection in the mirror does not change who you are. It only reflects more brightly the patterns you already carry. This is why emotional literacy matters. Naming feelings is powerful. Saying aloud, I feel anxious about this change, or I feel guilty about my luck. gives shape to emotions that otherwise swirl endlessly. Winners who speak their truth find some peace. Those who hide it often drown in it. Sharing with a trusted friend, a counselor, or even writing in a journal helps soften the reflection. It makes the mirror less frightening. Think again of Abraham Shakespeare. After winning $17 million, he struggled with identity and trust. People around him saw only his fortune, not his humanity. He pulled away, unsure who to rely on. His reflection became one of fear and suspicion, and tragically, he lost his life at the hands of those who exploited his vulnerability. His story is extreme, but it shows what happens when isolation and mistrust dominate the mirror. For you, the lesson is gentle but important. If sudden wealth ever finds you, remember to guard your sense of self. Do not let the mirror steal your identity. Keep doing things that remind you of who you are apart from money. Keep hobbies, keep friendships that existed long before wealth, keep routines that give purpose. Hold tightly to the parts of yourself that money cannot buy. There is also power in humility. Some winners choose to live quietly, keeping their wealth private when possible. This helps them stay grounded. They do not become a symbol to others. They remain themselves. Privacy protects identity. It keeps the mirror clearer. Even those with great fortunes, like Warren Buffett, still live modestly, not to prove a point, but to stay connected to who they are. At the same time, generosity done wisely can also strengthen identity. Helping others can remind you that your worth is not in the number of zeros you hold, but in the impact you make. But giving must be balanced. Give too much without thought, and the reflection weakens again. Give with care, and the mirror shows kindness rather than guilt. So, what does this chapter leave you with? Sudden wealth will always test your sense of self. It will tempt you to measure your worth by what you own, not who you are. It will challenge your relationships, your routines, and your confidence. But with awareness, patience, and humility, you can keep the mirror steady. You can remind yourself daily that money is a tool, not an identity. As you drift deeper into rest, hold this gentle reminder. Your reflection is still yours. You are more than your bank account. You are more than your possessions. You are a person with values, dreams, and love to give. The mirror may shift, but you can steady it with truth. And as this part of the story closes, another question rises. If sudden wealth changes how you see yourself, how does it change how others see you? When the garden gate opens and voices of family, friends, and strangers gather, what do you do next? Sudden wealth feels at first like walking into a new garden. The flowers are bright, the air feels fresh. You breathe easier knowing you no longer carry the same heavy weight of bills or debt. But as you step inside, you notice the garden gate behind you is no longer quiet. Voices gather. Some are gentle, some are demanding. Family, friends, even strangers press against the gate, each hoping to be let in. This is the moment many lottery winners describe with dread. Before the win, they struggled privately. After the win, they face pressure from every direction. The garden no longer feels like a place of peace. It becomes a place of expectation. Each request feels urgent. Each person feels entitled. And the winner feels trapped between generosity and survival. Take the story of Sandra Hayes. She was part of a group that won over $300 million. She said later that friends turned into vampires. They drained her energy with endless requests. Some asked for loans they never repaid. Others pressed her to invest in their ideas. Her joy was stolen by the constant pull. She said it was one of the hardest parts of wealth. Her garden gate was crowded every day. Marie Holmes, who won $188 million, felt the same. She spent more than $20 million bailing her boyfriend out of jail again and again. The pressure to say yes, the guilt of saying no, and the belief that helping was her duty nearly crushed her. Her story shows how quickly money meant to create freedom can turn into chains when boundaries are weak. Even smaller wins can create this pressure. Willie and Donna Seeley, who won nearly $4 million, found themselves overwhelmed by strangers contacting them. Friends expected handouts. Reporters called constantly. What they thought would be a blessing became a storm. They later admitted they wished they had never won. Their garden gate was left open, and the noise never stopped. So what do these stories teach? That boundaries are not optional, they are necessary. Without them, the garden becomes a place of chaos, not peace. The winner feels guilty for closing the gate, but keeping it open to everyone destroys the garden itself. The lesson is simple. You cannot say yes to every voice. You must decide who belongs inside and who must remain outside. Experts who work with sudden wealth clients often give the same advice. Pause before responding to any request. Say, "I need time to think," rather than rushing into yes. This pause creates space. It shows that your decisions are thoughtful, not emotional. It also prevents others from assuming they can push you endlessly. A single pause can protect months of peace. Some winners find it helpful to set clear rules. For example, they decide in advance they will help only with education or medical needs. Others decide to set a fixed yearly budget for giving. By choosing boundaries before requests arrive, they protect themselves from guilt and pressure later. The garden gate opens only when it matches the rules, not when voices grow loud. Consider the story of one anonymous winner who set up a trust. Instead of giving directly to friends or family, she directed all requests through her trust, which had clear guidelines. This way, she remained generous but also safe. The garden gate was guarded by rules rather than guilt. This is the kind of structure that protects wealth while still allowing kindness. Boundaries are not only about money, they are also about time and energy. Many winners become exhausted simply by answering calls, emails, and letters. One winner described feeling like she had a second full-time job managing requests. The endless pressure left her drained. Creating boundaries meant more than protecting money. It meant protecting her health. Some of the hardest boundaries are with family. Saying no to a stranger is easier than saying no to a sibling or parent. Winners often feel torn between love and survival. Yet history shows that saying yes without limits destroys both. Families have been broken by fights over money. Relationships have ended in lawsuits. A boundary given early with love prevents deeper pain later. Jack Whittaker faced this too. After his huge win, he gave freely to many. But soon, lawsuits arrived, some even from people close to him. The garden gate was forced open by those he trusted. The lesson from his story is that generosity without boundaries does not build stronger ties. It often breeds resentment and conflict. Think about your own life. If wealth came to you suddenly, who would stand at your garden gate? Which voices would you welcome, and which would you fear? Would you feel guilty saying no? Would you feel pressure to prove your love with money? These questions matter. Preparing answers before the voices gather is one of the most important steps you can take. It helps to remember that money is not proof of love. Love is shown in presence, kindness, and respect. When you give money only to prove love, you harm both yourself and the relationship. When you set boundaries with clarity, you show trust and honesty. Real love survives boundaries. Demands that ignore your boundaries are not love. They are pressure. So how can you practice this? Start with small scripts, phrases you repeat until they feel natural. You can say, "I want to help, but I have to be careful." Or, "I cannot give right now, but I care for you." These words are soft but firm. They show kindness while protecting your garden. Practice them now, so when the voices gather, you are ready. The truth is that many lottery winners suffer not from lack of money, but from lack of boundaries. They give too much, too fast, until nothing is left. They let guilt open the gate until their peace is gone. And once the garden is trampled, it is almost impossible to rebuild. Protecting the gate from the start is the only way to keep the garden alive. This chapter asks you to see wealth differently. Wealth is not only about numbers, it is about space, time, and peace. The garden is meant to be a place of rest. To protect it, you must choose who enters. You must close the gate when needed. And you must remember that a closed gate is not cruel, it is care. Without it, no one including you enjoys the garden at all. As you rest tonight, let this thought settle. Sudden wealth does not only test your finances, it tests your boundaries. Without them, pressure will crush you. With them, peace can last. And as this part of the story closes, another question rises with the night air. If the garden gate protects you from others, what protects you from yourself? When guilt whispers in your own mind, how do you soften the shadow it casts? When sudden wealth arrives, it does not always shine as brightly as people expect. Alongside joy and relief, another feeling quietly appears. It is heavy, and it lingers. It is guilt. Winners often speak of it in hushed tones. They wonder why luck chose them instead of someone else. They ask why they deserve comfort when people they love still struggle. They feel shame when spending, even when they can afford it. This shadow of guilt darkens many lottery dreams. Money changes circumstances, but it does not erase deep beliefs about fairness. Most of us grow up hearing lessons about greed, about pride, and about what it means to deserve something. These messages live in us. So when sudden wealth arrives, it collides with those old stories. Winners begin to hear inner voices whispering, "You do not deserve this. You should feel ashamed. You should give it all away." The guilt grows even as the bank balance grows. Take the story of Billy Bob Harold Jr., who won $31 million. He gave freely to his church and his community. He tried to help everyone who asked, but the guilt of saying no crushed him. He could not find balance. He carried the weight of endless expectations and the belief that he owed everyone something. Within 2 years, he ended his life. His story is tragic, and it shows how guilt can destroy even the kindest heart. Other winners feel guilt in different ways. Some cannot bring themselves to spend their money. They fear wasting it. They fear judgment. They let it sit untouched, while they live with the same stress they had before. They are paralyzed by survivor's guilt, unable to accept joy. The shadow grows darker, and they feel less free than before they won. Jack Whitaker also carried guilt. After his win, he gave millions away. He built churches, supported charities, and handed out cash to people he barely knew. But the giving did not heal him. It drained him. He later said he wished he had torn up the ticket. His generosity was real, but beneath it was guilt, a need to prove he was worthy of the blessing. The shadow of guilt left him empty. Marie Holmes felt another kind of guilt. After her huge win, she spent more than $20 million bailing her boyfriend out of jail. Many criticized her. She defended her choices, but the guilt pressed harder. She felt torn between loyalty, love, and public judgment. The shadow grew heavier with each decision. Her story shows how guilt often pushes winners into choices they regret. Why does this guilt feel so strong? One reason is the unfairness of chance. People know millions of others bought tickets too. They know most walked away with nothing. Winners ask, "Why me?" This question eats away at their joy. Another reason is cultural teaching. Many of us hear from childhood that money is dangerous, that wealth corrupts, or that rich people are selfish. When sudden wealth arrives, winners carry those messages into their new life. They fear becoming what they were taught to dislike. There is also pressure from outside. Family and friends sometimes make winners feel guilty if they do not share. Strangers send letters filled with desperate stories. Some accuse winners of being greedy when they refuse. This outside judgment feeds the inner shadow. The winner feels trapped between their own needs and the demands of others. So what can be done? The first step is naming guilt. Saying aloud, "I feel guilty for having this money," softens its grip. Hiding guilt makes it grow stronger. Sharing the feeling with a trusted friend, a counselor, or writing it in a journal helps release it. The shadow shrinks when it is spoken. Emotional literacy is a shield against guilt. The second step is reframing. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What can I do with this?" Guilt focuses on the past. Purpose focuses on the future. Winners who shift to purpose often feel lighter. They see their wealth not as proof they are undeserving, but as a tool to bring safety, stability, or kindness. Purpose turns guilt into responsibility, and responsibility can bring peace. The third step is setting limits. Giving endlessly to erase guilt never works. It only fuels exhaustion. Winners must decide clear boundaries. Perhaps they set aside a certain portion for giving and keep the rest safe. Perhaps they focus on specific causes, like education or healthcare. With limits, giving feels empowering instead of draining. Without limits, guilt drives them into emptiness. A good example of balance is when winners create charitable foundations. Instead of handing out cash randomly, they set up structured giving. This protects their wealth, gives them purpose, and keeps the shadow of guilt from consuming them. The act of turning guilt into organized kindness creates order in what might otherwise be chaos. But guilt is not only about money leaving, it is also about money staying. Many winners feel ashamed for enjoying their wealth. They hide purchases. They fear being judged by neighbors or family. They shrink themselves instead of living with joy. The shadow of guilt tells them that happiness must be hidden. Yet happiness does not take from others. It only shows that peace is possible. For you, the lesson is gentle. If wealth ever comes, Expect guilt to visit. It is normal. It is human. Do not let it rule you. Speak it. Reframe it. Set limits around it. Let guilt be a guest, not the master of your home. As you rest tonight, think of the golden seed we spoke of earlier. Guilt is like a shadow that can block the sun. But if you set boundaries and focus on purpose, the shadow grows smaller. The seed receives light and it grows. Your wealth and your peace grow with it. The stories of Whitaker, Holmes, Hayes, Harrell, and others remind us that guilt destroys when it is ignored. But when it is faced, it can transform. It can guide you toward thoughtful choices. It can remind you to give wisely, not endlessly. It can teach you that your worth is not measured by what you give away, but by the care you show yourself and others. So let this chapter close softly with the truth. You are not guilty for receiving. You are not guilty for hoping. You are not guilty for being lucky. What matters is not the guilt itself, but what you do with it. You can let it crush you, or you can let it guide you toward balance. And as this chapter ends, a new question waits at the edge of the night. If guilt is a shadow on your wealth, what balance is it? How do you hold both responsibility and freedom at the same time? What does it mean to find balance in wealth? When sudden wealth arrives, it fills your hands so quickly that it feels impossible to hold it all. The instinct is to clutch tightly or to let it spill out in joy. But lasting peace comes only when you learn balance. Balance between giving and keeping, balance between joy and safety, balance between today's comfort and tomorrow's needs. Many winners never find this balance. They spend quickly believing the money will last forever, or they give endlessly, trying to erase guilt. Others freeze in fear, unable to spend at all. Balance is what steadies the heart and protects the fortune. Without it, the seed planted in wealth grows uneven, bending until it breaks. One of the first lessons is taxes. In the United States, lottery winnings are taxed as income. The federal government withholds 24% immediately, but the final tax rate can be as high as 37%. Some states add their own tax as well. What looks like $1 million may shrink to $500,000 before it ever reaches your account. Many winners forget this, and they spend money they do not truly have. The imbalance begins here. A client of a financial advisor once received stock options that seemed worth millions. But when taxes arrived, the bill was larger than the cash left from the payout. He was forced into debt. The lesson is gentle but clear. Before you celebrate, set aside money for taxes. Protect it. Do not touch it. Think of it as not yours. This simple step creates balance before anything else begins. Debt is another weight. High-interest loans and credit card balances drain wealth faster than most realize. Some winners rush to buy new homes or cars, but forget to pay off debt that quietly grows in the background. The interest eats away at fortune. Balance means clearing these weights first. Removing debt is like taking stones out of your pocket before walking forward. You feel lighter, calmer, and more steady. Budgeting also creates balance. It may feel strange to make a budget after winning millions, but without one, money flows away unnoticed. A simple budget divides wealth into needs, savings, giving, and joy. Needs cover daily life. Savings protect the future. Giving honors your heart. Joy allows you to celebrate. Without this balance, one category grows too large, and the garden of wealth dries in other corners. Jack Whitaker, who gave millions away, forgot this balance. He gave more than he could manage. He supported causes, charities, and strangers, but left little structure for himself. Lawsuits and theft followed. His generosity was real, but without balance, it consumed him. His story shows that even kindness requires limits. Another example is Willie and Donna Seeley. They won nearly $4 million. They celebrated at first, but they soon felt their money slip away without plan or purpose. Expenses multiplied. Requests drained their energy. Without a clear budget, the fortune left them stressed instead of safe. Balance was missing, and peace never came. Some winners find balance by delaying big purchases. Experts call this lifestyle lagging. They wait 1 or 2 years before upgrading homes or cars. The pause allows emotions to calm and habits to form. Without rushing, they see more clearly what truly matters. Balance grows in the space created by waiting. A study of sudden wealth showed that 70% of people who receive it are broke within 5 years. Not because the money was too small, but because balance was missing. Spending rose with income. Investments were risky, taxes were forgotten. Without balance, the fortune collapsed. With balance, the story could have been different. So how do you find balance if wealth comes? Start by pausing. Place the money in a safe account. Take no big steps until the initial rush softens. Then separate what belongs to taxes. Protect it. Next, clear your high-interest debt. Then, design a simple budget. Decide how much to save, how much to give, and how much to use for joy. Keep each part clear. Balance also means building a team. A financial advisor, a tax expert, and a lawyer provide support. They see what you cannot see. They warn of risks. They help protect you from mistakes. Choosing a team that works only for your interest is key. They are not only advisors, they are guardians of balance. But balance is not only numbers, it is also emotions. Many winners feel pulled between guilt and desire, between generosity and fear. Balance means allowing both, but not letting either control you. Spend some, but save more. Give some, but protect yourself. Enjoy your wealth, but plan for tomorrow. Balance is not perfect. It is steady. Think of Abraham Shakespeare again. His fortune brought more pressure than joy. People surrounded him, asking for more and more. He tried to give, but he could not find balance. His life ended in tragedy. His story is painful, but it reminds us that money alone is not safety. Balance is safety. Balance also includes protecting privacy. Not everyone needs to know the size of your wealth. The more people who know, the heavier the pressure becomes. Some winners use trusts to claim their prize quietly. Others keep their lifestyle modest, so attention does not grow. This privacy keeps balance in relationships. It prevents the garden from being overrun. The lesson of this chapter is simple but powerful. Balance is the bridge between wealth and peace. Without it, money slips into chaos. With it, wealth becomes steady, even calming. Balance protects against taxes, against debt, against pressure, and against guilt. Balance lets wealth serve you instead of rule you. As you close your eyes tonight, remember this. Sudden wealth is heavy, but balance carries the weight. Start with taxes. Clear your debt, build a budget, form a team, protect your heart. These steps are simple, but together they turn chaos into calm. And as this chapter ends, a new question rises, like the breath before dawn. If balance steadies the hands, what happens when desire pushes you to reach further? What happens when comfort grows into craving and life begins to inflate like a balloon ready to burst? When sudden wealth arrives, life begins to stretch. A bigger home feels possible. A new car feels deserved. Vacations, clothes, gifts, and endless upgrades all feel within reach. At first, these choices bring joy. But without pause, the joy fades and the spending grows. Life begins to expand like a balloon. Each breath of spending makes it bigger, until one day it feels ready to burst. This is what experts call lifestyle inflation. Each increase in income leads to an equal increase in spending. The winner no longer feels richer because every new dollar flows out as quickly as it came in. The balloon grows, but it never feels secure. Without limits, it pops, leaving the winner shocked at how little is left. Many lottery winners fall into this trap. Their first purchase is often a home. Bigger than they need, more costly than they planned, filled with rooms they rarely enter. With the home comes taxes, insurance, and maintenance. What felt like a symbol of success becomes a drain. The balloon grows heavy, stretched by bills that never end. One famous example is Callie Rogers, who won over £2 million in the UK at only 16. She spent her winnings quickly on parties, clothes, drugs, and cosmetic surgeries. By her mid-20s, most of the money was gone. She admitted later that she had been too young and unprepared. The balloon had expanded so fast that it collapsed before she knew how to steady it. Jonathan Vargas, who we met earlier, poured millions into a risky business, an all-female wrestling venture. The idea burned brightly at first, but within a year, all the money was gone. His story shows how easy it is to let excitement push the balloon too far. Each new idea feels possible with sudden wealth, but without careful planning, it pops. The truth is simple. Spending more does not always create more happiness. At first, the new car feels thrilling, the mansion feels impressive, but soon the joy fades and the expenses remain. Studies show that people adjust quickly to new lifestyles. The big house becomes normal. The luxury becomes expected. The balloon must keep expanding to feel exciting, and that cycle never ends. Willie and Donna Seeley experienced this pressure too. After their multi-million-dollar win, they bought luxuries and enjoyed the freedom. But soon, the costs caught up with them. They admitted they missed the simplicity of their old lives. The balloon had grown, but it left them more stressed than before. So how do you avoid this? The first step is awareness. Expect the desire to grow when wealth comes. Expect the balloon to call for more air. Naming the temptation is the first way to control it. Say aloud, "I feel the urge to upgrade, but I can wait." This pause creates space. The second step is delay. Experts recommend waiting a year before making any large purchases. This is lifestyle lagging. It lets emotions calm before choices are made. Many winners who wait find their desires change. What seemed urgent at first often feels less important later. The balloon holds steady instead of rushing to burst. The third step is to set rules. Decide in advance what portion of wealth will go toward lifestyle upgrades. Maybe 10%, maybe less. Keep the rest safe in savings and investments. With rules, the balloon can grow slightly, but never out of control. Without rules, it expands until it breaks. Another step is gratitude. Each day, name simple things you already have. A warm bed, a meal, a quiet moment. Gratitude grounds you. It shrinks the balloon by reminding you that joy does not always require more. It lives in the small, steady comforts that money cannot replace. Jack Whittaker's story is another warning. He gave freely and spent without limit. He bought cars, homes, and gifts for many. But the balloon burst quickly. Lawsuits, robberies, and tragedy followed. His fortune, one of the largest ever won, left him broken. His words later were clear. He wished he had torn up the ticket. The balloon had grown until it crushed him. So what lesson do we carry? That balance matters more than expansion. That peace comes from limits, not endless upgrades. That joy comes not from more, but from enough. The balloon can grow slowly with intention, but only if you choose to breathe gently. As you think tonight, ask yourself, if wealth came tomorrow, what would you feel pressured to buy first? A car, a home, a vacation? Would it be from joy or from the fear of missing out? Naming this now prepares you for the future. It shows you where your balloon might stretch too fast. Lifestyle inflation does not only happen to lottery winners, it happens to anyone whose income grows. A raise at work, a bonus, an inheritance. Each moment tempts you to expand your life. But without awareness, the extra income disappears into higher expenses, leaving you no better off. The balloon grows, but your peace does not. The stories of Callie Rogers, Jonathan Vargas, and the Seeleys remind us that wealth without limits fades quickly. Their balloons burst under the pressure of spending and expectation. Your story can be different, with patience, with rules, with gratitude. Your balloon can remain steady, bringing comfort without breaking. So let this chapter close with a soft truth. Wealth is not about how big your life can grow. It is about how balanced your life can feel. Enough is better than endless. Stability is better than speed. Gratitude is better than greed. And as you drift deeper into rest, another question waits. If spending pulls you outward, what pulls you inward? What does generosity mean when you want to give, but also want to stay safe? When wealth arrives, the first instinct for many is to share. The heart opens, the thought comes easily. I can finally give back. I can finally say yes when someone asks. Generosity feels natural, almost like water flowing. The money seems endless, and so the river of giving begins. At first, it feels beautiful, but without care, the river runs too fast, spilling its banks, flooding the land, leaving nothing behind. Many lottery winners describe giving as the most overwhelming part of their journey. They believed wealth would free them, but instead it chained them to requests. They thought generosity would bring joy, but often it brought pain. The problem was not kindness. The problem was limits. Without boundaries, the giving river dries out, leaving the giver exhausted and broke. Sandra Hayes knew this struggle. After winning part of a $300 million jackpot, she tried to help everyone. She gave 2 friends, 2 family, 2 people who asked, but she later said they became like vampires, draining her life. They took, and when she set limits, they grew angry. The joy of giving was replaced by guilt and stress. Her river, once calm, turned wild. Marie Holmes also gave heavily. She spent more than $20 million bailing her boyfriend out of jail multiple times. Each time, she hoped it would help him change. Each time, she hoped the giving would bring peace. But the weight only grew heavier. Instead of healing, the river swept her into deeper stress. Her story shows how giving without boundaries hurts both the giver and the one receiving. Some winners give not only to loved ones but to strangers. Jack Whitaker handed out money freely after his win of over $300 million. He supported churches and charities, but he also gave stacks of cash to people he barely knew. At first, it seemed generous, but it attracted thieves, lawsuits, and resentment. His open river became dangerous, drawing harm instead of healing. The truth is that generosity is not wrong. In fact, it can bring deep peace, but generosity must be balanced. A river must flow within banks, steady and clear. Without banks, the water destroys the land. With banks, it nourishes it. In the same way, giving needs rules, it needs limits, it needs thought. Otherwise, it leaves both the giver and the receiver worse off. So what can those rules look like? One approach is to decide in advance how much of wealth will be set aside for giving. For some, it is 5%. For others, it may be more. The number matters less than the boundary itself. Once the amount is set, it creates peace. Each act of giving becomes part of a plan instead of a reaction to guilt or pressure. The river flows steadily instead of flooding. Another approach is to choose specific causes. Some winners decide they will support education or healthcare or their community. Others choose to help only with direct needs like housing or food. By narrowing focus, they protect themselves from endless demands. They also create more impact. Their giving becomes deeper instead of wider. The river waters a garden instead of spilling across dry ground. Willie and Donna Seeley, who regretted their $4 million win, said part of their stress came from people expecting handouts. Everyone assumed they would pay for everything. If they had set rules early, they might have felt less drained. Their story reminds us that giving without boundaries quickly turns to resentment. Generosity also means saying no. This feels painful at first. Winners fear being seen as selfish, but no is a form of care. It protects the giver from burnout and teaches the receiver responsibility. Without no giving becomes enabling. With no giving becomes thoughtful. It builds trust instead of destroying it. Consider how some winners establish trusts or foundations. By directing giving through these structures, they remove themselves from constant requests. The trust has rules, the foundation has guidelines. Requests go through a process, not through their personal heart each time. This brings relief. The river flows through channels instead of rushing uncontrolled. Generosity should also be slow. Many winners rush to give large sums right away. They think big giving will bring immediate peace, but rushing often creates regret. A better path is steady giving over time. Smaller, regular acts of generosity allow both the giver and receiver to adjust. They also prevent mistakes. The river flows gently, nourishing along the way. There is also the importance of self-care. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Saving for your own needs is not selfish. It ensures that you remain strong, healthy, and at peace. Only then can your giving be genuine. If you give while drained, your generosity becomes resentment. If you give from strength, your generosity becomes love. Think again of Abraham Shakespeare. After his win, he gave heavily to people around him, but the pressure never stopped. Strangers demanded more. People manipulated him. He felt trapped. In the end, he lost not only his wealth, but his life. His story is one of the darkest, but it shows clearly that generosity without boundaries is dangerous. So what does this chapter teach? That generosity is a gift, but only when guided. That giving too much, too fast, drains the soul. That saying no is not cruel, but kind. That creating rules and focusing on purpose turns generosity into peace. For you, the reflection is gentle. If you ever receive sudden wealth, ask yourself, how much will I give? Who will I give to? What rules will protect my peace? Write them down. Hold them close. This way, when requests arrive, you will answer with clarity instead of guilt. Your giving river will flow strong and steady instead of flooding your life. As you rest tonight, let this picture stay with you. Wealth creates the chance to give, but generosity must have shape. Let your river flow, but let it have banks, With boundaries, giving heals. Without them, giving harms. And as this part of the story closes, another question rises. If giving shapes your relationships with others, what about the relationships you already carry? What about the family ties, the childhood patterns, the lessons passed down that shape how you see money? What if your wealth is not only yours, but also part of a family tapestry stretching back generations? Every person carries a family story about money. These stories are woven long before wealth arrives. They come from the way parents paid bills, the way grandparents spoke about work, the way siblings shared or argued over little things. When sudden wealth enters, it does not erase this history. It highlights it. The old threads tighten, the old knots pull. And suddenly, money feels less like numbers and more like family memory. Some people grew up in homes where money was always short. They heard words like, "we can't afford it," or maybe later. Scarcity became normal. For these winners, sudden wealth feels unreal. Deep down, they may believe it will disappear. They save obsessively, or they give it away quickly, trying to quiet the discomfort. Their family story tells them money is temporary, so they treat it as fragile. Others grew up in homes where money was misused. They saw debt spiral, they saw fights over spending, they felt shame when bills piled up. For these winners, sudden wealth triggers old fear. They worry they will repeat the same mistakes. Some do repeat them, overspending until they are broke. Others swing to the opposite extreme, refusing to spend it all. Their family story still controls the way they see every dollar. Think of Willie and Donna Seeley again. After their win, family pressures multiplied. Relatives expected gifts. Distant connections reappeared. Old dynamics of loyalty, guilt, and obligation resurfaced. The Seeleys felt trapped, not by strangers, but by their own family threads. Their story shows how sudden wealth often exposes hidden fractures in family life. One winner from Florida described how relatives began demanding money for business ideas. When she said no, they accused her of being selfish. The relationships strained, and holidays became battles. She admitted later that she wished she had claimed the prize anonymously. The family tapestry, once strong, began to unravel under the weight of expectation. Family money stories also shape how winners see themselves. If you grew up hearing that rich people are greedy, then sudden wealth makes you feel ashamed. If you grew up hearing that money proves success, then wealth makes you feel pressured to show it off. These stories are old, but they echo loudly when new money arrives. Without awareness, they control the future as much as the past. Jack Whitaker faced this too. His generosity was partly shaped by old family values of helping neighbors and community. But as his giving grew, his family life grew harder. His granddaughter struggled, and the money became part of the pain instead of the solution. The old family patterns of love and pressure collided with sudden wealth, and the results were tragic. So, how do you handle this tapestry? The first step is noticing the threads. Ask yourself, what did my parents teach me about money? What did my family say about people who had wealth? What unspoken rules lived in my house about spending and saving? Writing these down brings clarity. Awareness makes it possible to loosen knots instead of pulling them tighter. The second step is communication. Family members may assume wealth belongs to all of them. They may believe they are entitled to a share. Talking openly helps, even if it feels hard. Saying, "I have to protect this money to keep it safe for everyone," is better than silence. Without words, resentment grows. With words, even if they bring tension, there is at least honesty. The third step is creating new patterns. Wealth is a chance to rewrite the family story. If your past was filled with scarcity, use your wealth to build security. If your past was filled with conflict, use your wealth to bring calm structure. This could mean funding, education, starting a family trust, or supporting specific needs. By choosing purpose, you stitch new, stronger threads into the tapestry. Marie Holmes's story shows the danger of ignoring this. Her repeated spending on her boyfriend came partly from loyalty and family pressure. She carried the weight of caring for others, even when it harmed her. Her choices remind us that family expectations can drive unbalanced giving if boundaries are not set. Without new patterns, the old ones repeat, even with millions in the bank. Sometimes the hardest truth is that family relationships change when money arrives. Some grow closer, others break apart. Winners often speak of siblings resenting them, cousins treating them differently, or parents demanding more than they can give. It hurts because these are the closest ties. The people who once felt safe can become sources of stress. The tapestry begins to fray. But not every story ends in loss. Some winners succeed in weaving stronger threads. They create family agreements about how money will be used. They invest in education or shared property. They talk openly about limits. These winners see wealth as a tool for healing rather than division. Their family tapestry, instead of unraveling, grows more colorful. For you, the lesson is gentle. Wealth will always touch your family story. You cannot erase the past, but you can choose how to carry it forward. You can face the old beliefs, speak with honesty, and create new traditions. You can choose not to let guilt or resentment decide your actions. You can decide what threads you want to weave. As you rest tonight, think of your own family tapestry. What threads feel tight? Which ones bring warmth? If sudden wealth came, how would those threads react? Preparing for this now, even with small amounts of money, creates peace. It teaches you how to protect love while protecting yourself. This chapter closes with a quiet truth. Money does not create family patterns. It only reveals them. With awareness and care, you can stitch new patterns, stronger and kinder than before. With silence and guilt, the tapestry unravels. And as this part of the story ends, another question waits at the edge of your thoughts. If family voices echo loudly, what about the voice inside your own heart? How do you listen to your emotions when they arise, whispering at night, asking for attention? At night, when the noise of the day fades, a softer voice begins to speak. It does not shout, it does not rush. It whispers in quiet tones, sometimes with comfort, sometimes with worry. For those who carry sudden wealth, this voice grows stronger. It says things no one else can hear. I am afraid. I feel guilty. I do not know who I am anymore. These whispers matter. Ignoring them only makes them louder. This inner voice is part of what experts call emotional literacy. It is the skill of noticing, naming, and understanding feelings instead of pushing them away. Many lottery winners lose peace not because of money, but because they cannot face their emotions. They bury guilt, fear, and shame, pretending they do not exist. But buried feelings do not vanish. They rise in sleepless nights. They appear in anxious choices. They turn wealth into a heavy burden. Take the story of Willie and Donna Seeley. Their win brought millions, but it also brought pressure. Reporters called daily trends expected handouts. Families strained under the weight. They later admitted they wished they had never won. Part of this pain came from ignoring their own feelings. They tried to keep up with the demands instead of pausing to ask, what do we feel? What do we need? Without listening to their inner voice, the outside noise drowned them. Jack Whitaker also suffered from this silence. He gave freely, trying to prove his generosity. But beneath the gifts was a man overwhelmed by guilt and loss. He said later that he wished he had destroyed his ticket. His wealth was immense, yet his peace was gone. His story shows what happens when the inner voice is ignored for too long. So how do you listen to this gentle voice? The first step is naming. At night, when your mind is restless, pause. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Say it simply. I feel anxious, I feel proud, I feel scared, I feel tired. Naming turns the unknown into something visible. When feelings are named, they feel less threatening. They stop hiding in shadows. The second step is writing. Keep a small notebook near your bed. When thoughts swirl, write them down. Do not judge them. Do not edit them. Simply put the words on paper. This act tells your mind, I see you, I hear you, you are safe. Many who practice this find they sleep better because the gentle voice no longer has to shout to be noticed. The third step is breathing. When emotions feel heavy, focus on your breath. Inhale slowly through your nose. Hold for a moment. Exhale softly through your mouth. Repeat this several times. Breathing reminds your body that it is safe. It calms the nervous system. It softens the voice from frantic whispers into steady words. Abraham Shakespeare, who faced tragic exploitation after his win, might have found peace in these practices. His story was filled with distrust and fear. He withdrew from others, unable to share what he felt. If he had been able to name his fears, speak them, and seek support, his path might have been less painful. His silence allowed others to control the story. His gentle voice was left unheard. Emotional literacy also means sharing. Speak with someone you trust, a friend, A counselor or a therapist can act as mirrors for your feelings. Saying aloud, "I feel overwhelmed by pressure," can bring relief. It reminds you that emotions are human, not shameful. When shared feelings lose their sharpness, they soften. For those with sudden wealth, emotional literacy is not optional, it is survival. Without it, guilt drives endless giving. Without it, fear drives reckless spending. Without it, shame drives isolation. With it, money becomes manageable. With it, peace becomes possible. Think of generosity again. If you feel guilt, you might give until you are empty. If you feel pride, you might spend until you are broke. If you feel fear, you might freeze and use nothing at all. But if you can name those feelings, you can pause. You can choose with clarity instead of compulsion. The gentle voice becomes a guide instead of a threat. So what can you practice tonight? Before bed, try 3 steps. First, close your eyes and breathe slowly. Second, name one feeling you carry right now. Third, write a single sentence about it in your notebook. Do this each night. Over time, you will see patterns. You will learn which feelings return often and which fade with time. This simple ritual keeps the gentle voice steady. For example, one winner wrote nightly that she felt guilty. Over weeks, she realized the guilt came mostly when family asked for money. With this awareness, she created boundaries. She set a rule for how much she would give each month. The guilt eased. The gentle voice grew calmer. Her sleep improved. Her wealth felt safer. Another winner wrote often that he felt afraid of losing everything. His fear led him to hoard money, refusing to spend even on basic needs. By naming it, he realized his fear came from childhood poverty. With help from a therapist, he built new habits. He learned to spend wisely while still saving. The fear softened. His gentle voice began to speak with hope instead of panic. This is the power of emotional literacy. It does not erase fear or guilt. It gives them names. It gives them space. It turns them into guides instead of enemies. For wealth to bring peace, the gentle voice must be heard. So as you close your eyes tonight, remember this. Your feelings matter as much as your finances. The numbers in the bank do not protect you from fear, guilt, or shame. Only listening to your gentle voice can do that. Treat it with care. Give it words, give it breath, give it rest. And as this chapter ends, let a soft question linger. If your inner voice can guide you in private, what guides you in public? When wealth feels like a starless night, what constellations will you follow to find direction? When life changes suddenly, it is easy to drift. Money arrives, pressure grows, and choices multiply. Without direction, days pass in a haze, nights fill with restless thoughts. This is why goals matter. Goals act like stars in the night sky. They do not solve every problem, but they give you something to steer toward. With stars above, even the darkest sea feels less endless. Many lottery winners lose peace because they never set goals. They believe the money itself is the goal. They think wealth will automatically create happiness. But money is only fuel. Without direction, it burns away without meaning. Setting goals turns wealth into a path instead of a burden. It transforms money into purpose. Consider Willie and Donna Seeley again. Their win brought freedom from bills, but no clear plan. Without direction, expenses multiplied, pressure from others increased. They admitted later that they longed for the simplicity of steady paychecks. Their story shows what happens when wealth lacks stars to guide it. The ship drifts and the sea grows rough. Other winners chose stars and found more peace. Some set aside money for their children's education. Others created small businesses rooted in community needs. By deciding early what mattered, they avoided the chaos of endless choices. Their wealth became structured like constellations in the sky. Each goal provided a point of light to follow. So what does it mean to set guiding stars? First, it means asking yourself what you truly value. Do you want stability? Do you want to care for family? Do you want to create opportunities for others? Do you want time to rest? Write these down. These are your stars. They give your money meaning beyond numbers. The second step is turning values into plans. If you value security, one star might be building an emergency fund. If you value family, one star might be setting up college savings. If you value freedom, one star might be investing for retirement. Each star becomes a goal, and each goal gives direction. The third step is breaking goals into smaller steps. If retirement feels far away, Start with saving a percentage each month. If education is the goal, decide how much will be set aside each year. Small steps create steady progress. They keep the ship moving forward, even on quiet nights. One anonymous winner who stayed private used this method. She placed her money in trust funds for her children. She limited lifestyle upgrades and focused on stability. Her guiding stars were clear: education, safety, and family peace. Years later, her fortune remained intact. Her story shows the quiet strength of direction. Jack Whittaker's story reminds us of the opposite. He gave freely without a guiding plan. His generosity was real, but it lacked structure. His wealth scattered like sparks in the wind. Without stars, he drifted into lawsuits, theft, and heartbreak. His story is a warning. Without goals, wealth leads to chaos, not comfort. Guiding stars also protect against temptation. When new opportunities appear, business deals, risky investments, expensive toys, you can ask, does this match my stars? If it does, you move forward. If it does not, you let it pass. Goals act as filters. They protect your peace. They keep the balloon of lifestyle inflation from bursting. Purpose also heals guilt. Many winners feel undeserving. They ask why luck chose them. By setting stars, they shift from guilt to responsibility. They say, I did not choose this, but I can choose what to do with it. Purpose transforms chance into meaning. The stars turn guilt into light. Even modest stars matter. A winner who decided to pay off her parents' mortgage felt more peace than those who spent millions on luxuries. Her goal was clear and personal. It gave her wealth direction. The amount mattered less than the meaning. Her star shined brightly because it matched her heart. You do not need many stars. Too many confuse the sky. Choose a few that matter most. 3 to 5 guiding goals bring clarity. More than that, and the light becomes scattered. Simplicity is strength. So what might your stars look like? Perhaps one is stability. Building an emergency fund that covers a year of expenses. Perhaps one is family, funding education, or creating a safety net for loved ones. Perhaps one is freedom, setting aside retirement savings. Perhaps one is kindness, giving to causes that matter deeply. These stars, once chosen, bring calm. Practical steps help anchor them. Open a separate account for each major goal. Label them clearly: emergency, education, retirement, giving. Each account becomes a star you can see, not only imagine. Watching them grow brings peace. You know the ship is moving forward. Gratitude also strengthens stars. Each time you contribute toward a goal, pause and say thank you. Thank you for stability. Thank you for family. Thank you for freedom. Gratitude ties emotion to action. It keeps the stars bright, even when the journey feels long. As you rest tonight, think about your own stars. What do you want money to mean in your life? Which goals reflect your heart? If wealth arrived tomorrow, where would you steer? Naming these now prepares you for later. It ensures that if fortune comes, you will not drift. The stories of winners remind us of the cost of drifting. The Seeleys drifted and regretted. Whittaker drifted and lost peace. Others who set stars found safety, stability, and meaning. Your story can follow the stars if you choose them early. This chapter closes with a gentle truth. Money is not the destination, it is the ship. The destination is your values. The stars are your goals. With them, you can sail steadily. Without them, you will drift endlessly. And as this chapter ends, another question rises. If the stars guide your direction, what keeps your heart steady through storms? When anxiety and stress return, what practices keep you calm enough to follow the stars? Every journey needs rest. For lottery winners, or anyone who faces sudden wealth, rest often disappears. The mind races, the heart feels heavy, sleep grows shallow. Yet peace is possible when we create spaces of healing. These are the Healing Waters daily rituals that calm the body, soften the mind, and remind us that money is not the master of our hearts. Many who win struggle to sleep. They replay choices in their minds. They fear losing what they gained. They worry about requests from family and strangers. This restless state is part of sudden wealth syndrome. The nervous system becomes trapped in alertness. The body feels unsafe even when the bank account is full. The Healing Waters are ways to remind the body and mind. You are safe now. You can rest. Simple practices bring this calm. The first is breathing. Inhale slowly through the nose. Hold gently, then exhale softly through the mouth. Repeat. Breathing tells the body that danger has passed. It lowers the heartbeat. It softens the muscles. Many therapists guide clients to begin and end each day with 3 minutes of calm breathing. This practice is free, gentle, and powerful. The second practice is journaling. Keep a notebook near your bed. Each night, write down 3 things you felt during the day. Do not judge the feelings, write them as they are. I felt anxious. I felt proud. I felt afraid. Naming feelings builds emotional literacy. It prevents guilt and fear from growing in silence. When emotions are written, they rest. The gentle voice we spoke of earlier no longer has to shout. The third practice is gratitude. Before sleep, list 3 small things you are thankful for: a meal, a laugh, a safe bed. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is missing to what is present. Research shows gratitude improves sleep and lowers stress. For winners, gratitude also softens the shadow of guilt. It reminds them that joy is not shameful. Joy is safe. The fourth practice is routine. Wealth often erases routine. Winners quit jobs, change homes, and lose daily structure. But routine is grounding. Waking at the same time, eating balanced meals, taking short walks, these remind the body of rhythm. Rhythm heals. Without it, days feel scattered and nights feel restless. Routine is not control, it is comfort. One winner who lost millions later admitted that quitting work was his biggest mistake. Without routine, he felt aimless. He spent more to fill the emptiness. His wealth vanished, but his rest never returned. If he had kept structure, even part-time work or daily rituals, his story might have been calmer. Mental health support is also part of healing. Many winners suffer in silence. They fear judgment. They believe they should be happy, so they hide their pain. But therapists, counselors, or support groups can help. Speaking fears aloud prevents them from growing. The healing waters are not only solo rituals, but also shared spaces where help is welcome. Consider again the story of Billy Bob Harrell Jr. His generosity was immense, but so was his guilt. If he had been able to share his feelings with a counselor, he might have found balance. His tragedy shows what happens when healing is ignored. Money cannot heal wounds, but practices and support can. For those who hold wealth, physical health matters too. Sleep, movement, and rest protect the mind. Without them, stress multiplies. Wealth without health brings no peace. Winners who stay grounded often keep steady exercise, eat well, and avoid extremes. This balance keeps their nervous system calm. The healing waters flow through both body and mind. Nighttime rituals help especially. A warm drink, dimmed lights, a quiet book, gentle music. These tell the brain it is safe to slow down. Many people who win forget these basics. They chase stimulation instead of calm. But true rest comes from quiet rituals, repeated nightly, until the body learns that it can let go. Financial habits can also be rituals. Setting aside money for savings each month, checking accounts calmly once a week, not every hour. Automating bills to avoid stress. These small acts bring order. They show the mind that wealth is safe, steady, and under care. Each ritual becomes a drop of healing water. Marie Holmes, who struggled under the pressure of her fortune, might have found peace through rituals like these. Her stress was not only about money, but about the emotions tied to it. Healing practices would not have solved every problem, but they could have given her moments of calm, a pause to breathe, a notebook to hold feelings, a nightly rhythm to bring sleep. The lesson of this chapter is gentle. Healing is not grand. It is not expensive. It is simple, steady, and daily. Breathing, writing, gratitude, routine, support. These waters flow quietly, yet they restore peace. Without them, money feels heavier. With them, wealth feels lighter. So tonight, choose one practice. Perhaps breathe before sleep. Perhaps write one feeling. Perhaps whisper one, thank you. Let that be enough. Over time, these drops fill the well. They carry you through restless nights. They remind you that peace does not come from the size of your bank account, but from the calm of your heart. And as this chapter ends, let one question guide you forward. If healing comes from quiet waters, what about strength? Beyond rest, what steady presence protects you silently, like an oak tree rooted in the meadow, standing tall no matter the storm? In every forest, there is one tree that stands steady. It does not sway wildly, It does not shout with bright blossoms. It simply grows deep and strong. Its roots run far beneath the earth. Its branches stretch quietly toward the sky. This is the whispering oak. For those who come into sudden wealth, the oak is a symbol of what it means to live quietly, to hold strength without needing to display it. Many lottery winners never find this oak. They live loudly, spending to prove their success. They buy mansions, fleets of cars, and luxuries that draw attention. At first, they feel proud, but attention brings pressure. Strangers notice, scammers arrive, friends resent. The noise of wealth grows so loud that peace disappears. The oak is forgotten. Jack Whittaker lived this reality. His life after winning over $300 million became public spectacle. His generosity and his losses played out in the press. Robberies and lawsuits followed. The quiet strength of the oak was missing, and his wealth became a storm. His story shows the cost of living loudly. By contrast, some winners choose to live quietly. They avoid public display, they buy modest homes, they continue working, or they live simply in familiar neighborhoods. These choices do not erase wealth, they protect it. Privacy keeps them safe. Modesty keeps relationships steady. The oak does not need to be noticed to be strong. Warren Buffett, though not a lottery winner, is often cited as an example of this kind of wealth. One of the richest men in the world, he still lives in the same modest house he bought decades ago. He eats at local diners. His lifestyle is simple, not because he lacks resources, but because he values peace over show. The oak whispers, and he listens. Some lottery winners have followed this path too. An anonymous couple who won millions chose not to change their lifestyle dramatically. They paid off debt, funded education for their children, and continued their routines. They did not flaunt their fortune. Years later, their wealth remained intact. Their quiet strength came from choosing to live beneath the shade of the oak instead of chasing the noise of attention. Quiet wealth brings protection. When you live modestly, fewer people pressure you. When you avoid display, fewer strangers notice you. The oak shelters you from storms. Modesty may not feel glamorous, but it builds safety and calm. For those who value sleep and peace, it is worth far more than luxury. The whispering oak also teaches patience. Wealth that is invested quietly grows steadily. It does not need to be loud. Index funds, savings accounts, and steady planning may not draw applause, but they provide lasting shade. Loud investments, risky ventures, and impulsive choices grow quickly, but often fall. Quiet choices are the ones that last. Callie Rogers, who lost nearly all her winnings before age 25, later said she wished she had lived more modestly. Her loud spending on parties and luxuries brought temporary thrill but lasting regret. If she had planted her fortune beneath the oak of modesty, her story might have ended differently. Living quietly does not mean refusing joy. It means choosing joy that lasts. A modest home filled with love is more peaceful than a mansion filled with tension. A simple car that carries you safely brings more comfort than a fleet of vehicles that drain resources. Quiet joy is sustainable. Loud joy fades quickly. For you, the lesson is soft. If sudden wealth arrives, ask yourself, what parts of my life do I truly value? Which of these require display and which require stability? Often the answer is that peace requires little. Modesty is not loss, it is strength. The oak whispers this truth each day. Practical steps support this path. Keep your home comfortable, not excessive. Continue routines that keep you grounded. Limit the number of people who know the size of your wealth. Save more than you spend. Invest in steady, low-risk ways. Choose privacy whenever possible. Each of these actions is a root deepening into the soil. The oak also symbolizes humility. Wealth tempts people to believe they are more important than others. But humility protects relationships. Treating others the same as before, wealth keeps bonds strong. It reminds you that identity is not built on fortune. It is built on kindness, values, and presence. Consider Abraham Shakespeare again. His wealth drew attention and envy. He trusted too openly, and tragedy followed. If his wealth had been shielded with privacy and modest living, his life might have been safer. His story is a painful reminder of why the oak matters. Quiet strength can protect you from harm. Gratitude also strengthens quiet wealth. Saying thank you for simple things keeps perspective. It prevents the desire to prove wealth to others. It keeps the oak rooted. Gratitude for health, love, and safety is wealth no number can replace. The oak grows not through applause, but through quiet appreciation. So as you rest tonight, think of your own oak. What roots would you plant if sudden wealth arrived? Which branches would you allow to grow? Would you seek attention, or would you choose peace? The oak whispers its answer. Strength is silent, and peace is modest. This chapter closes with a gentle truth. Living loudly drains wealth. Living quietly protects it. Attention brings storms. Privacy brings calm. The oak does not shout, but it endures. And as this part of the story ends, another question arises with the evening wind. If quiet strength protects you, what happens when the first light of morning comes? How do you carry the lessons of the night into a new day of choices? After a long night, the horizon begins to soften. Darkness fades. A quiet light spreads slowly across the sky. This is the first light. It does not come in a rush. It comes gently, revealing the world with new clarity. For those who carry sudden wealth, the first light is the moment when fear and confusion settle and reflection begins. It is the time to ask, what have I learned? What do I want the day ahead to hold? By now, you have walked through shadows of guilt, storms of pressure, and rivers of giving. You have seen the weight of family patterns and the voice of your own emotions. You have stood beneath the whispering oak, reminded that strength can be silent. Each of these lessons is part of the night journey. The first light does not erase them. It gathers them together, showing the way forward. Many winners never reach this point. They remain stuck in the fog of spending, pressure, or regret. They never pause to reflect. They rush from one decision to another until the wealth is gone. But those who do pause find peace. Reflection is the first light. Gratitude is the warmth it brings. One winner described this clearly. After nearly losing half his fortune to quick spending, he stopped, he paused, he created a plan. He decided what truly mattered, paying off debts, securing his children's education, and saving for the future. From then on, he lived quietly. Years later, his wealth remained. The first light had guided him into balance. The first light also brings gratitude. Winners who survive the storm often say they are thankful, not only for the money, but for the lessons it forced them to learn. They are grateful for boundaries they never had before. They are grateful for routines that protect their peace. They are grateful for the chance to rewrite family stories. Gratitude turns regret into wisdom. It transforms fear into calm. Think again of the Seeleys. Their regret was real. They longed for their old life, yet even in their pain, they spoke truths that help others. Their story became a lesson about privacy, boundaries, and the cost of attention. Their first light came not from keeping wealth, but from recognizing its weight. Sometimes light comes not in fortune itself, but in the wisdom it leaves behind. The first light also means forgiveness. Many winners blame themselves for mistakes. They carry shame for spending too much or for trusting the wrong people. But shame keeps the night heavy. Forgiveness brings morning. To say, I did my best with what I knew, is to let go of the past. Forgiveness clears space for new choices. Without it, the first light cannot fully shine. For those who hold wealth, reflection means reviewing what has worked. What choices brought peace? Which ones brought stress? Write them down. Speak them aloud. Choose to repeat the ones that brought balance. Choose to release the ones that brought regret. Reflection is not about punishment. It is about clarity. Jack Whittaker's story remains tragic, but even his reflections offer light. He admitted that wealth without boundaries destroyed his peace. His words remind others to protect themselves before they spend, to plan before they give. His regrets became warnings, guiding future winners toward better choices. His first light came in words, even if his fortune had been lost. The first light also asks us to define enough. How much is enough for safety? How much is enough for joy? Without answering this, wealth remains endless, and endless wealth creates endless craving. Enough brings peace. Enough lets you stop chasing and start resting. The morning sun shines brighter when you no longer demand more. Practical steps help here too. Sit with your wealth and divide it into 3 parts. One for needs, one for safety, one for joy. Needs cover the basics of life. Safety covers savings, investments, and protection. Joy allows you to celebrate. Knowing what belongs where creates calm. It keeps the day clear instead of chaotic. Gratitude practices strengthen this. Each morning, before rushing into choices, pause to name 3 things you are thankful for. They do not need to be grand. A warm meal, a steady breath, a person you love. Gratitude grounds the heart. It reminds you that wealth is not measured only in dollars. It is measured in peace, love, and presence. The first light is also about responsibility. Wealth gives you power. Power without reflection harms. Power with reflection heals. Winners who use their wealth to support causes they believe in often find more joy than those who spend on display. Purpose creates peace. It gives money meaning. It turns numbers into light. Some winners choose to support education in their community. Others fund shelters or healthcare programs. These acts not only help others, they bring calm to the giver. They turn guilt into gratitude. They turn pressure into purpose. Their wealth becomes steady because it flows in meaningful directions. The first light guides them outward, but with care. Forgiveness, gratitude, reflection, and purpose. These are the gifts of the first light. They allow winners to move forward with hope instead of fear. They remind us that wealth does not have to destroy peace. It can nurture it, if guided gently. For you, the lesson is simple. If sudden wealth arrives, do not rush into the day without looking at the light. Reflect, forgive, define enough, choose gratitude, align money with purpose. These small acts create calm mornings, steady days, and restful nights. As you drift toward, rest now, think of the horizon. Think of the first light slowly spreading across the sky. It does not shout, it does not rush. It simply reveals what was hidden in the night. Your path is clearer now. You have walked through shadows, but you are still here. You are still safe. You are still learning. This chapter closes with a soft question. If the first light gives clarity, what waits in the quiet of night once more? When the day fades, when lessons are gathered, what final rest does wealth allow you to enter? The night is quiet now. You have walked far through this story. You have seen the stars, the seeds, the shadows, the rivers, and the oak. Each chapter carried a piece of truth, a soft lesson about wealth and peace. Now it is time to gather those threads, to weave them gently into a dream that holds you as you sleep. We began with the wishing star. The simple hope that money would bring rest. You saw that winning can change everything, yet not always in the way we expect. Some dreams turned heavy, some turned dark. But even there, the star remained a symbol of hope, reminding us that peace is the true wish. Then came the golden seed, a symbol of sudden fortune, fragile and full of promise. We learned how important it is to pause, to let the seed take root before rushing into choices. Those who flooded their soil with spending saw their seed die. Those who slowed down gave it a chance to grow. Next, we looked into the shifting mirror. Wealth changes how people see themselves. Some feel pride, others feel guilt, and many feel lost. The mirror reflects old stories, family patterns, and hidden fears. The lesson was to protect identity, to remember that worth is not in numbers, but in values and love. The garden gate showed us the pressure of family, friends, and strangers. We heard how voices gather, pulling at winners with endless requests. Without boundaries, the gate is trampled. With care, it becomes a safe passage. Boundaries are not selfish. They are survival. Then came the shadow of guilt. The weight of feeling undeserving. The heavy thoughts of, why me? Why not someone else? We saw how guilt can lead to endless giving or endless fear. We learned to name it, reframe it, and set limits, so guilt becomes a guide instead of a curse. The balance of wealth reminded us that money requires structure. Taxes, debts, savings, and budgets create safety. Balance steadies the hands and the heart. Without balance, wealth is chaos. With balance, wealth becomes calm. The expanding balloon showed us lifestyle inflation, the pressure to buy, to upgrade, to prove success. Many winners fell into this trap, watching joy fade as expenses grew. The lesson was to breathe slowly, to wait, and to choose gratitude. Enough brings peace. More without limit brings emptiness. The giving river reminded us of generosity, how it can heal, but also harm. Without banks, the river floods and destroys. With structure, it nourishes. The winners who gave wisely found joy. Those who gave endlessly lost themselves. Giving needs rules, or it drains the soul. Then we explored the family tapestry, the old threads of childhood, the lessons passed down, the unspoken rules. Sudden wealth does not erase them, it reveals them. By seeing these patterns, by choosing new ones, winners can weave stronger, kinder tapestries for the future. The gentle voice taught us emotional literacy, to listen inward, to name feelings, to breathe, to write, to speak. Emotions left unspoken grow into storms. Emotions heard and honored soften into guides. Wealth becomes lighter when the heart is allowed to speak. The guiding stars showed us the importance of direction. Goals give money meaning. Without stars, winners drift. With stars, they sail with purpose. Stability, family, freedom, kindness each can be a star. A few clear goals bring light through the darkest nights. The healing waters reminded us of rituals, breathing, journaling, gratitude, routines, and support. These waters calm the nervous system and protect the mind. Wealth without healing brings stress. Wealth with healing brings rest. The waters flow quietly, but they restore strength. The whispering oak showed us quiet strength, living modestly, privately, with humility. The oak stands tall without noise. Winners who lived beneath its shade kept their peace. Those who lived loudly lost it. The oak teaches that strength is silent and safety is found in stillness. The first light gave us reflection, gratitude, forgiveness, and purpose. It showed us that wealth becomes peace only when we pause, learn, and define enough. The light revealed that mistakes are not endings, they are lessons. The day ahead can be steady if guided by clarity. And now, here we are, at the close of the journey. You have heard the stories of winners who lost and those who survived. You have learned about guilt, balance, giving, family, emotions, goals, healing, and quiet strength. Each lesson is a thread. Tonight, those threads weave into a dream of safety, of calm, of peace with money. So, as you lie here, let yourself rest. You do not need to carry every detail in your mind. You do not need to solve every problem tonight. The lessons are here, resting quietly inside you. They will return when you need them. For now, you can let go, breathe slowly. In through the nose, hold out through the mouth. Feel the weight of your body sink into rest. Feel the gentle voice inside you saying, "You are safe, you are enough, you can sleep." The goodnight blessing is this: wealth does not define you. Your worth is not in dollars. It is in kindness, love, and peace. Money can serve you if you guide it gently. It can harm you if you let it lead. But you have the power to choose. You have the wisdom of these stories. You have the calm of this night. So close your eyes now, Dreamweaver. Let the threads of guilt, fear, and pressure loosen. Let the threads of gratitude, purpose, and love grow stronger. Let your dreams tonight be lighter than your worries. Good night, rest in peace, and tomorrow, when the light returns, remember, your story with money is still being written, and you are allowed to write it gently. The night has carried us far. We began with a ticket, a wish, a star in the sky. We followed the paths of winners whose lives changed in an instant. We heard their joys and their struggles, their gifts and their regrets. Now, as the story draws to a close, it is time to rest. The lessons remain, but the weight can be set down for the night. You have walked through the fog of sudden wealth. You have seen the golden seed and the shifting mirror. You have stood at the garden gate, facing voices that demand too much. You have felt the shadow of guilt, the balloon of desire, the river of giving. You have seen family threads pull and tug, and you have heard the gentle voice within. Each step showed you how wealth touches not only numbers, but the soul. You learned about balance, about how taxes, debts, and budgets keep wealth steady. You saw how guiding stars bring direction, and how healing waters restore calm. You stood beneath the whispering oak, reminded that quiet strength is safer than loud display. You felt the first light of reflection, showing that forgiveness, gratitude, and purpose turn mistakes into wisdom. The stories of Jack Whittaker, Abraham Shakespeare, Marie Holmes, Sandra Hayes, and many others were not told to frighten you. They were shared to guide you. Their pain became lessons for those who come after. Their losses became maps for you to follow toward peace. Even their regrets can give you hope, because you now know what they did not. The truth woven through every chapter is this: wealth does not bring peace on its own. Peace comes from balance, boundaries, purpose, and care. Without these, even millions feel heavy. With them, even modest wealth feels safe. Money is not a cure, it is a tool. How you hold it, how you guide it, decides whether it brings stress or rest. For you, tonight, the lesson is softer still. You do not need to win the lottery to carry these truths. They apply to raises, to inheritances, to any moment when life shifts suddenly. They apply to the daily choices you make with your income, your savings, your spending. These lessons are not only for the wealthy, they are for anyone who longs for peace with money. So as you prepare to sleep, let the heavy parts go. You do not need to replay every story. You do not need to remember every name. The lessons have already entered your heart. They will rise when you need them. What matters now is calm. What matters now is rest. Take a slow breath, in through the nose, hold out through the mouth. Feel the air move gently, like water over stone. Let your shoulders soften. Let your chest feel lighter. Let your mind grow quieter. You are safe here. You are cared for here. You are allowed to sleep. If guilt whispers, let it fade. If fear knocks, let it pass. If worry lingers, tell it you will return tomorrow. Tonight is not for solving. Tonight is for weaving dreams. Let your thoughts drift like threads in a tapestry, loose and light. They do not need to make sense. They only need to rest. As you close your eyes, think of the oak, rooted deep, whispering softly. Think of the stars, steady in the sky, guiding you even when clouds pass. Think of the river flowing within its banks, calm and nourishing. Think of the first light, gentle on the horizon, promising clarity after the night. Each image is a part of you now. Each lesson rests inside you. Your story with money is still being written. It will stretch into tomorrow, into next year, into every choice you make. And that story does not need to be rushed. It does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be yours. You can guide it gently. You can hold it with care. You can allow it to bring peace. Tonight, let yourself stop proving, stop striving, stop carrying the weight alone. You are still learning. You are still worthy. Even without perfect answers, you deserve rest. The lessons will wait for you in the morning. For now, sleep is your only task. So good night, Dreamweaver. Good night to the wishing star, to the golden seed, to the shifting mirror, to the garden gate. Good night to the shadow, the balance, the balloon, the river. Good night to the tapestry, the voice, the stars, the waters, the oak, and the first light. Good night to every story, every lesson, every thread. They have done their work for now. Rest deeply, rest kindly. Let dreams carry you where money never can. Let sleep hold you more gently than numbers ever will. And tomorrow, when light returns, you will remember. Peace with money is possible. Safety with wealth is possible. A calm future is possible. Good night, sleep well. And may your story, like this night, be gentle.